what are some things, like maybe 3 things that you would say get overlooked in an FDD that maybe should be looked at more?
I see my clients tend to gloss over item 2, business experience. And when I'm looking through that, um, the requirement is basically for the franchisor to disclose an item to the business experience of those that are involved in the franchise sales process, and operation of the franchise. But there are different ways to really parse that out and define it. So some franchisors will include, um, director of training, director of operations, and some will just have bare bones, the executive leadership team, CEO, president, CFO, and then a board member. But I'm always looking to see how the franchisors are framing that and kind of framing their story. I want to see if, of course, if the founder's there. And then look and see the different experiences that the executive leadership team have, what they've got in common, who's bringing franchisor experience to the table, who's bringing process and procedure experience to the table, who's bringing that all together, who's training you. And sometimes that's all not exactly highlighted there, and so I think that's a missed opportunity for franchisors, to not really frame their story appropriately. And so when I'm doing my review, I do pay close attention to that and look up bios, go on LinkedIn. You can find out a lot of information, obviously online, and so that's one thing that I think is pretty important. Another is, uh, if the franchisor is actually registered in California. I think it's great to do a search in California and see the previous marked copy of the FDD beforehand. So it's not necessarily an item in the franchise disclosure document. It's actually comparing previous versions, to the version that you've got, to see changes in the system, to see what potential changes you may face, in the system. So that's something that I think is often overlooked. And then I probably say, oh, yeah, I mean, everybody, I always highlight item 7 and 19 and then just say, hey, look, these are just estimates. And this is, here's a disclaimer, here's a disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. You really must validate on your own. That's super critical, super critical.
Yeah, I think item 22, just seeing, like, let's say they don't have tons of locations. If they've closed a decent amount, that to me can be a red flag depending on the story behind it. But there's
Yeah.
also some type of retraction in a really mature franchise. People are getting older, they're retiring, they're selling. But if you see a lot of movement early on, gets me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, item 20, I believe it's table 4, typically has renewals, terminations, ceased operations for other reasons, and then there's a fourth column in there. And so I look through all 4 columns and just look and see if there are significant, closures, terminations, ceased operations for other reasons, and look at what year it is. 2020. You'd maybe see some closures in 2021. And I'm looking for a pattern then, and trying to see, all right, well, have they righted that ship? Have they offloaded the poor performing franchisees and fixed their system, tweaked their model, made themselves leaner and meaner, and more efficient? And sometimes that happens. And COVID obviously did wreak havoc on a lot of franchises. But you also saw a lot that made it through because they were franchises. The franchisor really helped and support them. And so, but yeah, I look at item 20 for sure, and look at the outlets, and see that. And I also look at item 14, trademarks. I'm just the Patent and Trademark Office just came out with a new site, that actually displays all their logos in very easy to view format, or all their marks rather. So I look at that too. That's somewhat interesting to see marks that they've filed and why they've filed for those. So you look at the goods and services, when you're looking at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and may see different revenue streams, where they want to put their logo on water bottles and T-shirts, and then they want to put it on branded, um, some other product that they want to sell. And so then you can look at that and see, oh wow, they really are trying to figure out other revenue streams for this brand. So that's another interesting search that I do as part of my review as well. And so looking at item 14 trademarks is something that I think is also important and often overlooked.